They can do that? They've made those?
Yes, they have. All right, so I don't know who S3 is. Oh, it's Seasalt.
That's my boy, Seasalt.
So I don't know. I'm not from Chicago, but I've played Frosty.
Oh, did you?
I've played Frosty a lot.
Yeah.
And from what I'm understanding, Belmont and the way he plays is setup. He wants to be very setup.
You know, Mick used to describe it like usually there's Belmonts who focus primarily on their projectiles, and then there's Belmonts who focus primarily on their whip play. Mick always described it as Frosty. He really does 50-50. He does both.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there are times where he could benefit from using one more than the other, and once he really finds that, like, I guess just sort of the vantage point in using one or the other in specific setups, he's going to get really good. But the way he uses everything in his arsenal now is still really impressive and gets him, I think, 8 or 9 on Chicago PR. So he's pretty solid.
He's pretty up there.
Yeah.
Pretty up there. All right, so but he's definitely been raging through bracket recently. I know he's seeded very high this time around, and at Ignite he was seeded pretty dang high.
Yeah, I mean he won a few ignitions. I think he's won 2 ignitions. He's won a handful of Tripoints. I mean,
he's out here, you know.
It was crazy. He's going against Bowser. So Seasalt, Seabass, more of like a local Chicago name.
Yeah.
He very good player. He just sort of has an arsenal in his back pocket. I mean, this man can sort of play everyone, but Bowser's his main, and against someone who's as good as Frosty, you're going to want to play your main.
Of course. All right, well, it's working out for Frosty here, and I think Seasalt playing Bowser versus a Belmont. I don't know if it's the right choice. I don't. That's probably what I would say. I don't know if it's the right choice for Seasalt to approach this matchup with Bowser. I would say this is probably a Bowser losing matchup.
For most heavies, it is. I mean, like, there's just so little you can do to actually get in on Belmont, and then once you think you're about to actually get in, you might just get whipped, dude.
Yep, exactly. So I guess in this scenario, it'd be great to have a secondary for this one, and I don't know if
he's plentiful. I know he's actually beat. So Bushi used to be number I think 3 in Chicago actually, and he beat him with Game & Watch.
Okay, so he's out here.
Yeah,
he's out here.
Yes, he's certainly out here. Seasalt is. So you know he's got people in his back pocket that he's probably gonna fish out after this match. I just don't know who it is. It might be Game & Watch.
You know, we're gonna have to find out. We're just gonna have to find out. If we lose, is this best of 5?
I think it's best of 3 until winners, and then I think for losers, semis, and then grands, it's best of 5. If I can remember, I've only commentated 30 Tripoints, so it's not like I should know or anything.
My first Tripoint ever, so
you're doing great. you don't need to know anything.
I'm out here, you know. I'm really out here. All right, so Seasalt is kind of backed him in a corner through Belmont, which is Frosty. Frosty's doing so good by setting up, putting him in a corner, making him panic almost. Seasalt, I don't know if he can handle this kind of pressure. He's doing good to avoid that the holy water, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. And back air. So Seasalt's probably going to change out. He probably did not like the way Bowser played at all.
Nah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, like you said, you mentioned Game & Watch.
So I mean, he could. That bucket reflects everything now,
man. Of course, it does. So if he does pull it out, that would be very surprising for me.
He could go Belmont for all I know. The Seabass is weird. Seasalt, Seabass. I see his name was in Smash 4 was Seabass.
Okay, so he's going Bowser again. I guess. You know.
I guess is a really good way to. I guess is a really good way to put it.
I guess. If he feels confident enough in his character, then that's more power to him.
What stage? He probably chose a triplat.
Nope. Oh. Right back.
Interesting. Okay, so yeah, this is I mean, listen, I don't play Bowser, I don't play Seabass, I don't play Frosty. So you know what? I can't really talk. All I'm saying is that matchup weird.
Oh, I agree.
Matchup bad.
Look at this. Just send it up. He's waiting.
What, I mean, yeah.
He's waiting.
Can't really do much else.
No, you can't. You have to be very patient. And especially with Bowser, you have to be even more patient because you're big.
And you know, Belmonts definitely do have like that point where you play them play against them so often, you start to realize what their startups are for certain things they throw out, and the exact right times to take advantage getting over a move or dodging a move.
I think that's what Seasalt right here is actually trying to figure out. I don't know if you watched, but he's figuring out when he throws Holy Water, he's got a little bit of end lag, and when he throws across, he's got a little bit of end lag. So he's taking advantage of that.
At its most basic form, that's the best way to get back to stage against Belmont too, is to be able to watch exactly when they're throwing out a certain move and then capitalize on how long they're going to be in animation for.
So he's adapting pretty well versus his Belmont. He doesn't want everything to pump out, and I think he's doing pretty well versus last time. But Frosty can still keep it up. Yeah, it's going to cover Roland.
Yeah, you can figure out the Belmont's moves all you want, but if you're like sort of a character that has a linear recovery like Bowser, that's always going to be a bad time.
Oh, for sure. I didn't kill him? And that's probably a kill. What? 164. Interesting. So Seasalt right here, he definitely is trying to figure out the matchup. I think he's getting a little bit of better grasp, but it's still pretty difficult. Because, well, Belmonts are pretty difficult if you don't know how to approach them properly.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact, if he's just going to sit there and shield, and he's just going to keep getting knocked around with projectiles, his shield has gotten low, I think, like 5 different times.
Yep. And I definitely know Belmont any Belmont can definitely shield break really well.
Yes, absolutely.
He's got more than enough setups to do that. I've been hit by a couple. Actually, one of them. Just one of them, right?
He was able to catch him at ledge with the whip, and just like that, Seabass one stock again to 3.
All right, so he's gonna take the stock with back air, which is good. So let's see if Seasalt can actually figure this out. You know, what's he missing? What can Bowser do? What can Belmont do? And let's see if he can actually do it. So far, he's playing it safe. It seems like he's getting a little more knowledge on this matchup, getting a little more familiar, but I don't know if that's going to be enough. Maybe it's too late.
It's not even like Frosty is like dash dancing around and really sort of like picking out a particular move or anything. He's creating a force field around himself with his projectiles and his whip. He's just throwing out something all the time to make it so Seabass doesn't know what he's going to do next, ever.
Are you saying he's making a wall?
Yeah, you can say that. He's basically making himself unapproachable because he's just throwing out a bunch of different stuff all the time, and then whenever Bowser gets close, he capitalizes off something he gets hit with.
That's good play. That's what Toon Link does too. If you wall somebody out with that many projectiles, they end up forcing an option. And that's good on the person who's using the projectiles part. And Frosty's going to take it.
Yeah, Seabass disappointed, but Frosty's going to take that pretty confidently. I'm still so surprised that it was he stayed Bowser.
You know what? Sometimes you just have to trust in your main. Sometimes you just have to do it.
Yeah. I guess so. We saw earlier Ethan Foe switched off of Wolf with the Snake, and he got the sauce. So sometimes you just gotta feel what's right.
You know what? That's fine. That's fine with me. Sometimes I want to go Palutena and bracket, but I don't have a Palutena at all. I don't.
That's how I feel about Lucina, because I know Lucina's kind of simple to learn, but then I realize, hey, when I'm going against somebody who actually knows the character they're playing, and I'm playing Lucina for the 8th time, I get whooped, especially if I don't know the matchup.
Exactly.